Good day and welcome to another edition of Citizens Movement Radio News. Today is Wednesday, 3 December 2025. I'm Bernard Stele, ready to bring you the latest news and updates. Here are today's headlines on Citizens Movement Radio News. Calls for solidarity for Madzibaba.There. There is no way a corrupt president like Mnangagwa cannot be criticized, says Chuma. Poverty amidst plenty as government says it now has more than $1 billion worth of gold reserves. Now let's delve into the detailed stories. The leader of Peru, Senator Bongai Tome, has called for all progressive citizens to stand in solidarity with popular activist Madzibaba.There, who is currently held in remand prison. Madzibaba.There, whose real name is Godfrey Karembera, has been languishing in pre-trial detention for over a month now on charges of incitement. Senator Tome, who also provided details on Madzibaba.There's next court appearance, rallied citizens to attend his next court appearance. Let's hear her speaking.
Fellow citizens, we stand in solidarity with all those who have been unjustly detained and incarcerated for their political beliefs and activism. Madzibaba.There, Honorable Stephen Chagwiza of Goromons West et al. Are languishing in Harare remand prison, facing pre-trial detention for over a month now, and we cannot be silenced where there is an injustice. They are being denied bail, which is actually their constitutional right. Fellow citizens, look at Walter Magaya, who was facing fraud charge and rape charges. He was granted bail. Look at his wife. He was also granted bail. Look at Robert Mugabe Jr. He was also granted bail for his drugs case. Yet these opposition activists like Madzibaba.There and Chuma are still suffering in pre-trial detention. Madzibaba.There et al. Are appearing in court tomorrow, 4 December 2025, for their bail hearing at Rotten Row Magistrate Courts at 8:30 a.m. Let us come to court in solidarity with them. An injury to one is an injury to all. Seeing you in the court gallery will make them feel loved, and that will lessen their heavy burden. Together, we can indeed make a difference in fighting this injustice. We recognize the sacrifices made by these leaders and their families, and we demand their immediate release. We will continue to amplify our voices and advocate for justice, human rights, and democracy. An injury to one is an injury to all, I reiterate. So we are saying see you at the courts tomorrow. In a separate case, Tambudzai Makokoro also appeared in court for trial, and the case was postponed to 21 January 2026. I am also appearing in court on Friday with my five other co-accused for a 2020 case that happened at the Harvest House, and we're still going to court. So we are proceeding for defense trial tomorrow, on Friday, and we continue to demand justice for all our incarcerated and all those who are actually accused without committing any offense. I thank you.
The opposition has condemned the ZANU-PF affiliate group calling themselves Zimbabwe Anti-Presidential Criticism, which is going around the country harassing citizens under the guise of public arrest. Opposition official Stephen Chuma said there is no way a president who presides over a corrupt system like Emerson Mnangagwa cannot be criticized. Chuma said,
Indeed, there's no way a corrupt president like Emerson Mnangagwa, who is also presiding one of the worst governments in the history of this country, cannot face criticism from citizens. We know that our country is now a pale shadow of its former glory. When ZANU-PF took power in 1980, this country was being described as a jewel. But thanks to successive ZANU-PF governments under Robert Mugabe and now under Emerson Mnangagwa, the country is now resembling a shell. The roads are full of potholes. More than 70% of our people are unemployed. our people are surviving on less than $1 per day. It's poverty everywhere. There's no medication in hospitals. Civil servants are crying for being underpaid. So clearly there's no way Emerson Mnangagwa cannot face criticism given this background. So this bootlicking group, which calls themselves Zimbabwe Anti-Presidential Criticism, they are just singing for their supper, but they will not stop Zimbabweans from speaking, because it is also our fundamental right in line with the Constitution. We have the right to speak. We have freedom of expression, which is guaranteed in the Constitution. So for a few drunkards who want to get cars from the likes of other criminals like Chuma, tell us that we cannot criticize Emerson Mnangagwa, I think they've lost their minds. We're going to criticize Mnangagwa. We're going to tell the Zimbabwean story without fear or favor.
The Treasury has revealed that they now have more than 1 billion worth of gold in their reserves. Trade unionist Madzibaba said it's a pity that the majority of citizens, including civil servants, are languishing in poverty amidst plenty. Let's hear Madzibaba speaking.
The government of today can be compared to an uncaring father who moves around squandering money with friends and girlfriends without caring for the family. We are reading in the papers that they have got about 1 billion gold reserves. But if you just go out of Reserve Bank, just a stone throw from the Reserve Bank, you get vendors who are in serious poverty, you get beggars who are in serious poverty. Beggars which include civil servants, you have seen them through social media, that they are seriously begging. Talk of Zimbabwean Republic Police members, PCS teachers are begging. They are committing to beg on social media. This is a sign of serious poverty. The government must be ashamed because of that. It brings the name of the government into disrepute to see its workers begging on social media. That's not acceptable. We are worried. This invokes anger. The citizens will rise. Citizens will ask questions. That where are these resources being channeled to? When we see people dishing out gifts or handouts, are they taking these handouts from these so-called reserves? But they should be distributed equally to the poor. The poor people who are in rural areas, who are in marginalized areas, need to feel that our country has got reserves. We can't talk of reserves when we cannot have one meal for 7 days consistently. We can't talk of reserves when we cannot send our kids to schools. We cannot talk of reserves when people are dying in hospitals without medical attention, without even paracetamol. We cannot talk of reserves. They should be ashamed of that. They should offer a public apology to apologize to the nation that what they are doing is satanic, is diabolic. It needs to be stopped forthwith. We've got leaders who have who no longer have a human heart. They compete, giving handouts, taking resources from our own national resources. That's unacceptable.
One of the most prominent voices from the church, Reverend Kenneth Mtata, has emphasized the critical role of active citizenship in holding governments accountable. He said that for opposition movements to effectively challenge and ultimately dislodge entrenched dictatorships like the one in Zimbabwe, they must remain visible, united, and strategically organized. Mtata said opposition forces need clear action plans and the discipline to keep planning, mobilizing, and acting until authoritarian rule is dismantled. Let's hear him speaking.
Can citizens regain their power? In many parts of the world, I come across citizens who share a common frustration. They say space for citizen participation has shrunk considerably. This is true in the global south, but also in the global north. I come across citizens who feel that the voice of citizens is not taken seriously, even in matters that concern them. And I ask myself, is it possible for citizens to regain their power? From our reading of many interdisciplinary resources, we come across a common pattern. First, citizens will always regain their power if they are organized. So there is always need for a person to belong to a group or to groups of people who share a common vision and together reflect regularly, debate on this vision, correct it, refine it, until there is consensus among citizens on the kind of society that they want. The next step is for citizens to plan for action. Because in order to realize such a vision, citizens need to have a clear plan. In this plan, the vision is the big elephant, but it must be broken into small bits. As they say, in order to eat an elephant, you need to eat it in small pieces. So a plan is a breakdown of how such an elephant must be eaten. In this plan, there should be a third component, which is action. After plans have been put together, there should be collective action. It must be implemented. You can have a very good plan, but if you do not take the next step to act, this plan cannot be realized. The next step is to come back and reflect on the action that was taken. Because reflecting on action allows citizens to refine their next steps. And their next step is to plan and act again. Remember that God is always on the side of those who are marginalized in society. So when citizens come together and they imagine a society of enjoying abundant life for all people, and they plan together, they take action, God is always in their midst, and their vision will be realized.
We continue to count down to the popular citizens' annual charity dinner, and today marks exactly 10 days before the program. Those who would like to purchase their tickets are urged to contact one of the organizers, Honorable Lynette Mazingaidzo. She is reachable on the following numbers: 0772 313 293. The numbers again: 0772 313 293. Proceeds from the charity dinner will be donated to the needy across all provinces of the country. As we commemorate the International Day of People with Disabilities today, we interviewed opposition official Denius Mudzingwa, who is renowned for championing rights of people with disabilities. We asked him about the views on the current socio-economic situation of PWDs and what he thinks needs to be done. He said,
"It is true that today is the International Day for persons with disabilities. Zimbabwe has joined all other nations in celebrating this day. But it is important to note that persons with disabilities, particularly in Zimbabwe, have nothing to celebrate. They are really suffering socially and economically. So we are actually fighting for the equalization of opportunities for persons with disabilities. Persons with disabilities continue to be marginalized. They continue to be regarded as second-class citizens. So we are actually saying there must be a policy that is deliberate, that promotes the interests of persons with disabilities, is particularly in empowering persons with disabilities economically. We are also not celebrating because we are actually unhappy about the newly gazetted Persons with Disabilities Act. This act did not capture the aspirations of persons with disabilities as they were consulted during the consultations throughout the country. So we are not actually celebrating. We are unhappy, we are in a sorrowful state, and we hope that the government that is going to be brought by President Chamisa is going to uplift the status of persons with disabilities socially, economically, and politically. We are unhappy because currently in Parliament we have only 2 persons who represents persons with disabilities in Zimbabwe. Yet persons with disabilities in Zimbabwe constitute about 15% of the total population in Zimbabwe. So we are actually saying there must be more representations. There must be more representatives so that the aspirations of persons with disabilities will be realized.
Today's day 9 of 16 days against gender-based violence, and we spoke to one of the women leaders in opposition, Stable Mlilo, on her views about women's rights in the country. She called for inclusion of more women in decision-making positions, which she said is essential, influencing policies that promote gender equity. Mlilo said women inclusion in the country's economic activities is key in effecting development. Mlilo said,
Good evening, listeners. Let me just say, after 30 years of the Beijing platform, we still encounter a lot of abuse towards women, and we cannot really say that when it comes to women's rights, we have actually accomplished what we would want to see: equal opportunities, like have the government promotes gender equity, gender equality, and gender justice for women also. We've not actually seen that, but we just pray and hope that we'll get more of these. And also, when we look at the way we are structured as a country, you'll find that there are so many places that there is no women inclusion. It might even come to politics. You'll find that there are so many women who are into politics, but when it comes to influential or to those positions that have got impact, you find that there are less women who are actually there. And then when it comes even to the corporate world itself, if we want to check how many CEOs do we have here in Zimbabwe, we've got just a few CEOs who are actually heading big companies and all. This is because we have not actually promoted gender equality, we have not promoted gender equity and gender justice. So we really need to make sure that we thrive as a country and make sure that women promoted every time. And if we look at countries like Rwanda, we've actually made it. You will see that it's because of the political will within the government, the political will within all political parties that actually promote women to get there. So we need also to actually work very hard as a country so that we promote women, especially when we are in day 9 of 16 days against gender-based violence, and this is what we would want to actually see our women succeeding in everything that they do, especially in economic activities, because when you empower a woman, you have actually empowered the whole country. Thank you very much.
villagers in Chiredzi South have called for the government to refurbish roads in their area. This was said by community leader in Chilonga, Livson Chikutu, who said the area has been left out as far as development is concerned. He added that they only hear about government development programs on radio, but they are yet to benefit from key infrastructure development programs since independence, Chikutu said.
Chokwadi chaiko nokuti kana mukanzwa pamusoro pechinhu chinonzi development unochinzwa mumanewspaper, mutv nemuredio, but mumeso kuti muchione chichiitika hachimbofiki chakaitika. Mukatarisa marodzi ari kunoko, marodzi aya atinoziva ataiti nana Bhinya road, asi vana Bhinya road dzacho idzodzo hadzichagoni kushandisika nemota, because Bhinya road taiziva kuti inzvimbo yekuti nyange mvura ikanaya sei taizviziva kuti marodhi awa aigona kufambika nemota. Izvezvi haachakwanisiki because akaeredzwa nemvura, especially mvura yemuna 2000 vana El Nino dziya. But pari zvino marodzi ahina afile soku anga hatiriseki kumwani nekumwanyani kune kova kumwani kumwani hikova hokaku ilawa mapato ekale. So ikombela ku government aiende ekukuva nemadevopment emarodzi especially leno Chiredzi South. Ene naizvivona zviro zvingere kuendeke ndeno Chiredzi South because hiko ingakona hina vanhu vechichangana. Tikomba kukahina development aifanire kuiva kona because hiri shoko lakahina. So ikombela ku government aiitire ekuhikona madevelopments alawo avakona, marodzi avakona, nambo mikova mloko itala ifanire ikota kuhikuvaka ikota kukhupuka mikova, but ikesweswi mikova ikoti kukhupukeka. Government ivoneka iitekela hasi, ile kuitekeleni hasi kusa itekwa hina ile shoko lingele hasi ingakoti kuti hlayela na hina kuhi vanhu. Amloko wakahina kuhayena CEO kumbe ni MP angakoti kuyeteka development ibuya leno kakayena. Please nokumbira kuti hurumende ititorere pamusoro zvinhu zvifambe, especially in terms of roads. Taneta kunzwa development iri maradio, ikarale development itoke maradio kema-TV kabulauliwa yomuchuka makechilonga bridge always time and again yabulauliwa ke social media kema-newspaper ke-radio ke-TV, but what next is none.
On Citizens Movement Radio, now let's take a look in our sports news. Minister of Sports Anselm Sanyatwe yesterday gave an update saying work is currently ongoing at the Giant National Sports Stadium and promised that it will be ready to host matches by the time the season starts in March. Football fans, however, have expressed concern at the snail pace the refurbishment of the stadium is taking. Warriors supporter Jefferson Chitando said the country must refurbish more stadia to meet CAF requirements if the country is to host continental tournaments in future. Chitando said,
it is not a surprise that the message from the Minister of Sport that the National Sports Stadium will be ready for the local league in March. We have had so many promises, so many timelines being set by one, the former minister, Kesti Coventry. We all know the statement by Kembo Mohadi when he promised that our last two World Cup qualifiers, we were going to have them in the National Sports Stadium. But up to now, they've changed the goalposts to March, which we will say, if they are really serious, it will not have taken so long. This is a mere renovation of the National Sports Stadium. While these other countries are building new stadium, and they've got capacity to host continental tournaments, we are still being fed with promises after promises. It's not a surprise. We know this government of Emerson Mnangagwa is good at promises which they are not able to fulfill. Understand, they also promised you that by 2018, they were going to have free education. Did they fulfill it? They promised in their manifesto that every district was going to have a referral hospital. is no longer there. They promised a number of secondary schools which were going to be built, but they haven't done so. So people should not be surprised by these promises from a failed leadership.
The Zimbabwe women's football team, the Mighty Warriors, finished second in the Three Nations Women's Tournament, which concluded yesterday in Malawi. The Mighty Warriors were defeated 3-1 by Zambia in their final match. The tournament standings were Zambia in first place, Zimbabwe in second place, and Malawi in third place. Dynamo's captain Emmanuel Jalai and Scotland captain Walter Musona are part of 6 players who were released from Warriors AFCON preparation camp because of injuries. Other players who have been released from camp because of injuries are Timon Machope, Kolani Ndlovu, Andrew Mbeba, and Junior Makunike. Meanwhile, Portugal-based striker Kobet Chimedza has been added to the provisional Warriors squad and was expected to join camp together with Macaulay Bonne. The Warriors kickstart their AFCON campaign against Egypt on 22 December. Erling Haaland struck his 100th Premier League goal last night to help Manchester City overcome Fulham 5-4. In doing so, Haaland became the fastest player in the English Premier League to hit 100 goals, a feat he achieved with only 111 games. In other matches played last night, Everton beat Bournemouth 1-0, while Newcastle and Tottenham shared spoils in a 2-2 draw at St James Park. To conclude our Citizens Movement Radio News, here are the headlines once more. Calls for solidarity for Madzibaba.There. There is no way a corrupt president like Mnangagwa cannot be criticized, says Chuma. Poverty amidst plenty as government says it now has more than $1 billion worth of gold reserves. The news on CMR English was brought to you by me, Bernard Chele. Me and the whole team wishes you all a wonderful evening. Please join us in another news bulletin. Stay tuned to Citizens Movement Radio, your station of choice, speaking truth to power. Good night to you all.